Leslie here. And as we get started in this 5-day training together, I want to kind of walk you through what to expect overall and how subtle body work is kind of different. So, a lot of you have come to this because you've tried a lot of different things. You're either maybe a therapist or a counselor yourself, or you've been doing a lot of different work, or trauma work has been coming up. Maybe you've done EMDR. There's always a lot of questions about different modalities and how it fits in. So most of the things, really all of the things on the list, I've either been certified in, have a degree in it, have clinical experience in, or have experience as a person myself. So we're going to talk about these deep in training video 1, which is coming up, and you'll start to see how it all fits together, because my expertise is really getting down into this technical side of how the mind-body system is actually working. And so I want you to start to have an understanding of what is really the subtle body level and what can you expect in terms of, results, not just from doing this training, but also just from this type of work in general. So generally you're here because you feel stuck, and it can feel really frustrating because you've done a lot of things, but maybe you've felt results for a time, but then felt like you're still stuck in the same pattern. So this is a really important thing to understand, which is why I'm taking time to explain it here. So imagine that this is sort of the path of your life. These could even be years in your life. And a lot of what you've experienced is that in general, we're working along. We have some years that are up and down, and then sometimes we have these sort of jumps, especially when we're doing work on ourselves. And so over time, you could notice like there'll be these events, like maybe I found a helpful book or a video, or maybe I started taking some classes, or maybe I started working with a coach or a counselor, or maybe I went to a weekend workshop. And as we'll see over time, you'll have times in your life where you're doing something and you feel really inspired for a period of time, and it feels like things are going to be different in my life. And you do change and improve to a certain extent. So what I want you to really take note of in this diagram is that there is this upward trajectory that actually, when you notice here that you have made improvement over many years of time. And this is really important to celebrate and to understand, because it's important that you have put a lot of work in. And it's really key to notice and celebrate that I'm not where I was before, and I'm better than I used to be. And it is indeed better to be up here than it was to be down here. There is actually this level of difference. However, the problem is that there's still this feeling of stuckness, and there's still some areas where you really haven't gotten results. So what we notice over time is, even though there's some blips and some years that are better than others, in general, we keep sort of resetting to this baseline. And part of the problem of lots of different sort of things in the therapeutic realm, and sometimes even in the medical realm, is that there's not a real question of what's really happening here. There's a lot of settling for results. There's a lot of throwing our hands up in the air, and there's a lot of like, I don't know why it's not working. So that's what I want you to have a sense of, because what is really happening behind the scenes, which we're going to go deep into in this training so you can understand it in a new way, is your actual subtle body wiring. The thing that is keeping you stuck at this level, even though you might have some little blips of improvement and inspiration over periods of time, the reason why you're generally coming back to this same old pattern and the same default is that in the background, there is your subtle body wiring, which is in a certain state, which is pulling you back to this baseline. So what I mean by this is that this is really the sum total of how your body, your mind, whether we call it your chi or your prana, your nervous system, your neurology, your vasovagal regulation system. There's lots of different names to put it, but there's a way that these all intertwine and function together. And that's what I'm referring to as your subtle body in this way. And we're going to go deep in, especially in training number 1, where we really start to get to the technical side of this. So what this means for you is that the state of your subtle body wiring, essentially this purple band here, this is what dictates your capacity for growth and success and change. This is good news because it means that the reason why you haven't gotten different results, it isn't really your fault. It's not because you're broken. It's not because you just are there's something wrong with you or that it's impossible. It's that no one has really helped you to understand how this purple band of subtle body wiring works and what is actually needed to up level and change that. Because when you change this, you get to change the curve. So that's what I want you to sort of have a reference for. And here's the biggest thing, if you take nothing away from these next, 6 to 12 days with me, is that just knowing something in your mind doesn't actually change your subtle body wiring capacity. This is really huge. I want you to know, I want you to take away, whenever you know something in your mind, I know I shouldn't react that way. I know about the law of attraction. I know that, it's just for everybody's own good. I know I shouldn't react that way, but you can't actually do it in your daily life. You can't actually embody it in the moment. This is a sign that there is a block at the subtle body level. This is so key. So what that means is that you haven't actually gotten to the root of the real issue. Whenever we see ourselves feeling better for a while but ultimately coming back to the same place where we're repeating the same patterns, any logical person would say, okay, well, we haven't actually gotten to the root of the issue because it repeated itself. We did a management of it. We temporarily improved it, but we didn't actually fix the deeper cause. So let's look at a different method of actually addressing the subtle body system directly. So when we're able to really address this system directly, we start to get different results, because what's happening is we're actually changing the purple band of what's happening. Now, this doesn't mean that you're not going to have ups and downs. I want you to be, I want to be realistic and straightforward. I'm a clinician. I've worked with people for over a decade. It's important to know that even when you're going, life doesn't magically become puppies and rainbows overnight, but what it does do is dramatically change your experience of how those ups and downs go. I had someone say the other day, God, Leslie, I was working with a client and she said, I just can't even express how different I am than I was 6 or 7 months ago. She's like, yeah, I still have hills and valleys, but the valleys aren't really a big thing anymore. So this is the difference when we start to up level, because what's happening is, here's what was happening before. We were stuck in the subtle body here, and when we can actually change and up level, we're actually going to get more results, because we're actually extending and building the capacity, almost like building a muscle of tolerance with the subtle body function itself. That's what allows us to get up here in the first place. So I had another diagram I wanted to show you. I'm not sure where I put it. It's going to probably come up later. So what I wanted to show you is just what this really means. A lot of people that I work with, and this is probably something that you can relate with. This is Julia. I just love Julia. She is a trained yoga teacher and had been to a holistic health nutrition school. And so she already knew a lot, but she'd tried therapy for over 10 years and really had not gotten the life-changing results that she felt like she was needing. So finally, after working together, after going through training, after getting this subtle body level, she said, I finally, for the first time, feel free from lifelong issues that were holding me back. And today, I actually have kept in touch with Julia, so I know that she's actually happily married to a wonderful, wonderful man, and they are expecting their first child. And they live in their dream house in the mountains. So there was a lot that shifted for her when she started to up-level that purple area of subtle body. This is April, who is just an awesome lady who is a founder of a nonprofit that really supports people around issues around suicide called the Check-In Foundation. And she said even in the short amount of time that she had made more progress in the first 4 weeks than she had in 10 years of therapy. So this is the difference when we're starting to actually change that trajectory. We're actually starting to organize the levels of how the mind-body system is going together. So instead of being chaotic, we're really able to harmonize the things that have gotten out of balance. And that gives us better results. So I want you to keep in mind, this is not magical, it's measurable. What that means, here's the diagram I was looking for. So what that means is what's normally happening in here, why you can know in your mind that you want to actually feel confident, that you don't actually want to react, that you want to feel okay around other people's energy, that you shouldn't, just act without thinking, that you actually want to make a long-term shift. You can know these things in your mind, but if your subtle body capacity is stuck down here, you're not actually able to get to them. So when we start to actually change those and increase the amount of capacity in how your mind-body system is actually connecting in a technical way, this purple area expands and you're actually able to get there. That's when we're really seeing the results. So as always, you'll hear me say this over and over again in the training, you need to judge by results. As a sort of, fanatic for helping people in actual measurable ways, this is really important. And this is one of the things that bothers me the most about the sort of realm of help and healing and personal growth. There's a lot of wonderful things out there. And there's sometimes this feeling where practitioners just don't have the training. They just don't know. They maybe don't have a deep background in the variety of things. And so when they don't get results for people, they just tend to say like, well, you're just not committed, or well, it's just your karma, or some other sort of new age excuse that just isn't true. It's just that they don't have the techniques to get down to this deeper level. And this is not something that's widely taught. So I want to show you some results so that you can understand how this works. Now, I pay attention, everyone that I work with in my deeper trainings, and I don't know that will be for you. I'm going to give you as much as I can. And I also want you to know that some of you are going to feel sort of this inner call of like, this is what I've been looking for. So I'll kind of be clear on here's what you can expect for the next 5 days and all the things I'm going to give you. And some of you are going to want to go deeper. So when people do deeper trainings with me, I really track their results at the beginning, at the end of a 12-week program, and also after they've come in. Sometimes we have in-person workshops. So that's what these statistics are from, so you have a reference. And I always ask people, they fill out a level of assessments about all different parts of their life so that we can actually see and judge by results how they're getting better. So this is Michelle, and these are just some of the questions that we ask people in terms of like being in tune with your body, having that best friend relationship, being able to actually tap into the body's wisdom and feel where you're being directed in life, following, the direction and having true confidence that you're actually making soul-aligned decisions. And this is a big one I want to bring your attention to because I know a lot of you listening to this are in the empath, sensitive person, HSP territory. And there's a lot of function around our subtle bodies that makes it very difficult where we're like jumping out of our body, kind of quasi disassociating, really avoiding conflict, not getting our needs met, or feeling resentful, like we're always giving out to other people but never receiving, or that we like can't really be around other people because the energy is just too much. I want you to hear that it is possible to keep the beauty and the power of your empathic superpowers without the overwhelm. If you are feeling overwhelmed and cannot tolerate other people's energy, that is a sign that your subtle body wiring needs some support. We're really going to talk about this in the first couple of days of the video, especially when we talk about protector system in training video 2. So Michelle really noticed she was coming in with like really difficult to even stay in her body in stressful situations. And after the first 3 months of training, she really rocketed that to a 7. And later on, when she came to an in-person training, that got even better. So those are some statistics there. And over all of the people, especially in that staying in my body, even during stressful situations, when I track the statistics for clients, the average, some people are higher, some people are lower, coming in before of people actually being able to stay in their body and feel grounded and connected is around a 3.2. And average after a 12-week training, a lot of people the average has moved up to 7.6. But here's the biggest thing. Of the percentage of people who improved, 100% of people who do deep dive subtle body training with us actually improve their ability to stay in their body. So that's really important. Everybody's at a different place, but the upward trajectory, like you saw on that graph, is the same. So I want you to meet Karen. Karen is a wonderful grandmother and had been a business owner and a caterer. She's living the retired life, but she was reliving this trauma of something that had happened in her life when she was 15. So close to 50 years earlier. And even after a very short amount of time of working together, she really felt the shift. So she felt physically and emotionally better. And throughout the same day and within days, she's really started to see natural changes in how she saw herself. So she said, my feelings of unworthiness began to fade. And by the end of the week, I was breathing more freely and feeling more confident meeting new people and interacting more confidently with old friendships. So not just making it up or faking it or learning some new fake technique about confidence, when we actually get down to and release the trauma from the system, these things will naturally come about. And this is Raja, and he had really done a lot of therapy, really a man with a lot of emotional intelligence. Most of my clients are women, but I sort of say women and men who get it. So Ranjan is one of those guys, and he really had something that was just really stuck in the system. He said of working together, really within minutes, Leslie was able to help me locate the memory in my body and help me release it. I found it quite hard to believe that it shifted so quickly. It actually felt quite magical, to be honest. So remember, it's not magical, it is measurable, but it does sometimes feel that way. So another thing that we track is the ability to tap into inner direction for making life and confident decision making. A lot of people come to me and come to even this training feeling like, there's trauma in the way of me really feeling and living my life purpose of who I'm supposed to be. So on average, this is for some of my deep dive trainings where people work with me directly. In general, people feel like it's quite low, a 4.5, and the average after 12 weeks of training is an 8 out of 10. And again, this is a big category where everybody improves in their own way, so there's definitely that solid upward trajectory. Another big category that's really important that shows subtle body recovery and what I'm looking for in people to track how they're doing is the time that it takes you to recover from a serious trigger. So generally when people are coming into the program, they're at these places. These are actual statistics for people of like, yep, it takes me about several weeks to recover from a serious trigger. Several weeks, several days. And after learning the basic subtle body techniques, Tracy went from several weeks down to several days for average of a serious trigger. This was big. Alex really worked her butt off and really applied the techniques and really just made great strides in her system. She was really feeling that after, the training, really only an hour of a serious trigger. So her recovery time and ability to come back to center drastically reduced. Same with Mariana. Several days was the trigger beforehand, and generally then afterwards, triggers really only lasting about a day. Now, I'm highlighting this to show you that, again, it's not magic, it's measurable. None of these women said, oh, my life was magical and I never had a difficult emotion or a life stress come up. However, the ability to actually be free from it very quickly is huge, and that's what you can expect when you're doing deep, subtle body work. So, judge by results. I won't bore you with all of the, we have lots of results. You need to hear it from other people. I don't want you to just take my word for it. It's good to really feel the difference in your body. And we can post some of these, and you can find these on my website and other places. What I want you to focus on is really what we're going to go deep in this 5-day training. And we're going to go through the hidden wiring, explaining how this really works, decoding your protector system, learning where things are actually sourced in the body, how to actually take that out and interface that with other people through energetic communication. We're going to talk about generational trauma. So stay tuned for the video tomorrow, because I'm going to lay out what is in each of these videos and how they all really fit together. So that's a big thing coming up. And like I said, who knows what your destiny is? You might just be here to get this free training. That is really my heart's desire, is to really serve you with this important information that you will not find out on the internet, because people just don't know how to put this shit together. I am a little bit of a unicorn in that way of I am a highly trained, I'm really standing on the shoulders of giants, like blessings on my teachers, whether they are my spiritual teachers or my acupuncture teachers or my clinical teachers or my therapeutic teachers or my somatic teachers. Like, I am super blessed to have just had great people pour into me, and I am given in this life a unique position of pulling these worlds together of East and West, of the inner worlds, of how your subtle body wiring works, of how that connects with the mind in a level that I just haven't seen elsewhere. So I feel personally in my heart of hearts that it's really my mission to offer that knowledge and put it together for you so that you don't have to spend a couple of decades traveling around the world and, doing clinical master's degree programs to actually put it all together and work with people. So keep in mind when you're getting this information that this training is only available for 12 days. So then the group disappears and all the content is gone. Make sure that you post questions that you have and comments below the video. I go through and answer all of your questions under the video. And there's a lot, and there's only one of me. So I focus on that day's video. So I want you to keep up to date, use your time wisely. I will try my best to, as each video is released, that's the day that I'm going to be focusing my comments and my time on the most. You might be catching up, which is okay. You can still leave your questions on previous days, but it's harder for me sometimes to go back and catch those older days. So if you want my attention on your comments and questions, you got to stay up to date in terms of when the videos are getting released, just because I'm only one person and trying to keep up with all of those things. So use your time wisely to make sure that you really get what you need. That is my heartfelt wish for you in this training. And there really are no mistakes in my world. So if you are here, we are meant to do this learning together, and know that you have my just wish for you that you get really what you need. As we're sort of stepping over this threshold together, I'm setting an intention, and I invite you to do the same, that you will really receive what it is that you need in a way that you can understand, so that it will be of deep service and purpose to your life and soul. So I'm holding you in my heart. Thanks for being here and all that you're bringing, and I will see you in the next video.